This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Everyone present was a senior in the art of magic. With a glance, they saw that Feiyang, who had been at a disadvantage, had started to condense his pill. It seemed that he wanted to condense the yin and yang pill before Hui did. To condense a pill at this level, he was definitely at the 8th tier without a doubt. Wasn't this a sure lose? All of a sudden, everyone was even more furious, and they cursed him on the spot. If it were not for the experts guarding the area, the situation would have been chaotic. The angry human alchemists would have rushed up and bitten him to death, regardless of whether he was a titled martial sovereign or not. Don't embarrass yourself. Get down here. Feiyang, you have disgraced your identity as an alchemist. Return your identity as an honorary elder immediately. Get out of the sea of soul formation. You embarrassing thing, stop right now. For a time, the angry roars continued, and even Lu Songzi was furious. With a gloomy face, he ignored the boos. Even Lu Fian, who recommended Feiyang, raised her eyebrows and was full of doubts. Feiyang would never be such a foolish person who would risk his life. If he reached level 8, he would lose without a doubt. Ai was also stunned for a moment, and her hand movements slowed down a little. She looked at Feiyang in surprise, and saw that his face was full of calmness, as if he was very calm. The pill is done. Feiyang suddenly shouted, and a ray of light shot out from his hand, illuminating the sky with a colorful light. It was the strange phenomenon of the birth of an 8th-tier medicinal pill, and it was very beautiful. However, no one was in the mood to appreciate it. They were all thinking that they were done for. The members of the demon clan were all beaming with joy and were extremely proud. Right at this time, dark clouds began to gather in the sky, and rolling thunder appeared. It was precisely the lightning tribulation of a tier 8 medicinal pill. Everyone was cursing in their hearts. It would be best if they struck this godforsaken bastard to death. Feiyang's eyes flashed with a sharp light. His hands quickly set up a green array around the level 8 elixir. All kinds of strange symbols appeared on it and spread out with the elixir as the center. Suddenly, Hui's heart skipped a beat and she focused her gaze in that direction. When she saw the array clearly, her expression suddenly changed and she said in horror, "Do you think this is a thunder-gathering array?" Boom boom boom. The lightning in the sky condensed more and more, and finally fell. A green heavenly lightning directly blasted down towards the 8th-tier medicinal pill. The sound of thunder rumbled and all the curses were drowned out. Ai suddenly sucked in a cold breath and cried out, "If the lightning strikes this formation, it can even transform into Zifu divine lightning. How can this level 8 medicinal pill withstand the Zifu divine lightning? Even if you take it head-on, you'll only be able to raise the quality to supreme grade at most. There's no way to cross a tier. Why do you want to do something so meaningless? Besides, the Zifu divine lightning isn't something that ordinary people can control. Once it explodes, the consequences will be disastrous." Suddenly, she stopped talking. Her words were stuck in her throat, because she saw a smug smile on Feiyang's mouth. She seemed to have understood something. Her eyes widened and she said in horror, You want to run?" Feiyang chuckled. "That's right. The reason why I'm refining level 8 elixir is to condense the elixir before you do. That way, I can directly turn the green lightning that falls on me into Zifu divine lightning through the thunder-gathering formation. Did I say that I want to control it?" He smiled slyly and said, "When the Zifu divine lightning explodes, it'll just be an accident. The entire rainbow cloud-chasing moon will be blown into nothingness. This battle between you and me can only be considered a draw." And Feiyang revealed a proud smile and said, "I'm a martial sovereign at the peak of the 9th heaven, so I won't be seriously injured even if I take the Zifu divine lightning. But can you? With just the body of a demon, even if you don't die, you'll definitely be heavily injured. At that time, even if we fight again, you won't be my opponent." The conversation between the two was covered by the sound of thunder, and outsiders could not hear it clearly. Moreover, only they could see the thunder-gathering formation in front of Gu Feiyang clearly. Ai Hui's mouth was wide open. She had not expected the other party to have such a plan. She opened his mouth wide as if he wanted to say something, but it was too late. The green lightning struck the level 8 2 elements pill in front of Gu Feiyang. It did not explode, but spread suddenly and was absorbed by the green formation. More and more of them gathered and gradually turned purple and green. At this moment, Tianzhi and the others finally realized that something was wrong. Lu Congzi's expression changed in horror as he said, "What's going on?" "The purple lightning." Gu Feiyang suddenly shouted and said in a panic, "Oh no. I can't control it." After he finished speaking, he quickly fled outside. Ai Hui's face turned green and white under the purple lightning. Even someone with such a high self-restraint like her couldn't help cursing, "Fuck you, you human bastard." She also threw down the pills that she was still refining and quickly fled. Boom. There was a huge explosion. Suddenly, the sky and the earth lost their color. The sun and the moon lost their light. The sky above the Sea of Soul formation was filled with a brilliant purple light. The experts hiding in the void were shocked and hurriedly attacked. All of them were martial supreme realm experts, and when they joined forces, the world changed color. They immediately controlled the power of the explosion on the rainbow cloud-chasing moon and blasted a huge black hole, absorbing the terrifying power of the Zifu divine thunder. However, the biggest cloud above the Soul Formation sea had completely disappeared. Ai, who was affected by the explosion, spat out a large mouthful of blood and fell on the body of the big demon who had come to rescue him. Gu Feiyang, on the other hand, formed a defense himself. Although it was very laborious, he escaped unscathed. There was not even a speck of dust on his clothes. Lu Congzi looked at the empty place where the colorful clouds and moon used to be. He pointed at Gu Feiyang and roared, "What happened? What was that purple lightning?" "It's all my fault for not controlling the power of the lightning tribulation well," Gu Feiyang said with a pained expression. "Sigh, what should we do about this competition? You didn't control it well? How can a mere 8th grade lightning strike you?" Lu Congzi flew into a rage. Suddenly, he had a flash of inspiration and was stunned on the spot. His emotions calmed down in an instant. He looked at Gu Feiyang, who looked indifferent, with a complicated look in his eyes. He exchanged a look with Amaterasu Z. The two of them immediately realized that this kid had done it on purpose. Gu Feiyang sighed with a solemn face. "This AI is so talented. He's too monstrous. I'm afraid that even the two of you might not be able to defeat him." He didn't finish his sentence. Lu Congzi and Tianzhi were both shocked. They naturally believed Gu Feiyang's words. If even he could tell that the two of them were no match for each other, then who in the world could be a match for them? Was the title of the best alchemist in the world going to be taken by the demon race? No human alchemist could accept this result. Yuan Gaohan was also angered by Gu Feiyang's actions, but he finally understood from Tianzhi's expression. He felt that this person was too terrifying. He could actually come up with such a way to disrupt the competition and directly reverse the outcome. Although it seemed a little underhanded, at least he had temporarily saved the face of the human race. From that moment on, he had a trace of fear for Gu Feiyang. Later on, Amaterasu Z announced that the competition had suddenly been interrupted due to an accident and that it was a draw. This immediately caused the other demi-humans to be dissatisfied. "I just refined the level 8 yin and yang pill and condensed it into form." Everyone saw it, Gu Feiyang said coldly. "And Master AI didn't seem to have refined anything. If it's not a draw, then I should be the winner." This immediately rendered all the demon clan members speechless. From the progress before the purple lightning explosion, it was true that Gu Feiyang was slightly better, but this was too fucking depressing. Not to mention these great demons, even AI, who was seriously injured, was so angry that he spat out another mouthful of blood, his eyes full of resentment. In a fit of anger, AI made a promise on the spot that he would compete again in 3 days. Gu Feiyang agreed on the spot that AI Hui would not be able to recover to his peak state in 3 days. If they could not defeat him even with this opportunity, then the human race would really have no hope this time. However, what made everyone's heart tremble was that even AI, who was injured, was able to suppress Feiyang during the refining of the profound level weapon 3 days later. In desperation, Feiyang took a risk and directly merged the 3 swords that represented his unparalleled sword intent. Then, he forcibly turned the 9th-ranked demonic dragon into a sword soul and forged the sword that was full of criticism and was still in debate star sword slash. The moment the treasured sword was born, it immediately shone brightly in the starry sky. The enlightened sword light shot up into the 9 heavens and very coincidentally dispersed the lightning tribulation that AI Hui was refining a peak 9th grade profound weapon. This scene instantly made everyone completely dumbfounded. After the opponent's profound level weapon thunder tribulation was split open by the enlightenment sword light of the star sword slash, it gradually disappeared. Below, AI Hui's mouth was wide open as she looked at the clear sky. The profound armament that she had spent so much effort to condense had no lightning tribulation and its grade was only at the beginning of the 9th tier. It couldn't even be compared to the beginning of the 9th tier profound armament. AI Hui was so angry that he almost fainted. She pointed at Feiyang and couldn't say a word. However, the enlightenment sword light was indeed very strange. It didn't seem to be man-made. It seemed to be full of spirituality and had cut out by itself. Under such circumstances, AI Hui had no choice but to admit defeat. She looked at the star slasher and sighed. This sword of yours has almost reached the quality of a saint artifact. Even if I can successfully refine it, I won't be able to beat you. I've really lost this time. The Sea of Soul formation and the Saint Realm naturally wouldn't disclose the details of this battle. From then on, Feiyang's name shook the world and was like the sun in the sky. When Feiyang fused the 3 swords in a hurry, he said something that Yuan Gaohan remembered deeply: "This lord will not lose to anyone in my life." The voice seemed to have come from several years ago, overlapping with the words Yunxiao had said earlier. Yuan Gaohan gradually came back to his senses from his reminiscence. Looking at his disciple and Yunxiao's refinement process, and how the elusive waves technique was completed in one go, he no longer had any doubts. So it's you. You're not dead, Feiyang. The last few moves of Yunxiao's elusive waves heavenly sutra technique were as fast as lightning, so fast that Jin Xian and the others could not even catch his afterimages. Finally, the pill was formed. A round pill spun in the air, emitting a surging pill fragrance and a warm light, making people want to swallow it. Mo Huayuan was dumbfounded. Even he could not have done Yunxiao's last few moves in one go. It was a divine skill. The entire room was abnormally quiet, not a single sound could be heard. Yuan Gaohan's voice rang out in the Divine Realm tablet, and he sighed, "So it's you. You're not dead, Feiyang." Yunxiao's body trembled, and he knew that the other party must have seen through something. He smiled awkwardly and said, "Old Yuan, what nonsense are you spouting?" Yuan Gaohan didn't care about his cover-up and continued, "That explains it. No wonder I always felt that you were unfathomable when I met you in the outer realm. From the age of your human cauldron, it seems that you are only 10 years old. If you really have such an achievement, then countless geniuses since ancient times will feel ashamed of themselves." He thought Yunxiao had seized another person's body. "Why are you so sure that I'm Feiyang?" Yunxiao smiled. Yuan Gaohan said, "The basic technique of the 12 styles of flying flower and falling snow. Even if my main body were here, I wouldn't be able to perform it better than you just now. Also, I've tried the final few moves of the elusive waves heaven scroll art, but I couldn't do it in one go. However, you've displayed them in such a marvelous way. Don't you think it's very similar to the sentence he said when he was forging the sword to cut the stars in the Sea of Soul formation?" Yunxiao smiled wryly. He could not think of so many flaws. After all, the other party was also an extraordinary person, and it was indeed difficult not to be seen through after a long time of interaction, so he simply admitted it. He smiled and said, "Now that you've exposed my identity, aren't you afraid that you'll never be able to leave this place?" Yuan Gaohan's expression was full of bitterness. "I finally understand now. You said that you would let me go after recovering your strength, but it turns out that you want to recover to the peak of the 9 heavens. Even if I didn't expose your identity, how could you let me go with the great secret of the Divine Realm tablet? Only when you return to the peak of the martial supreme realm, with this saint weapon in hand, will there be no more worries in the world. That will be the time when I regain my freedom. Old Yuan, don't be so sad. Anyway, you're cultivating in the starry sky outside the universe, and you're also cultivating in my Divine Realm tablet. Besides, it's good for everyone to have more exchanges. Don't you want to participate in the restoration of the Divine Realm tablet? Yunxiao encouraged. Do you want to give up? Yuan Gaohan was silent for a moment before he said, actually, if you go to the sacred zone and find my main body and let me return to my main body, I'll be willing to repair the Divine Realm tablet with you. After all, this kind of opportunity doesn't come by in any era. You don't have to worry about anything. Furthermore, my main body is here, so I'll have a greater chance. But I still hope it's safe, Yunxiao said with a smile. I'd like to play it safe. The holy region was a place where one might not be able to return. With the two of us, it's not difficult to repair the Divine Realm tablet. After all, I have the Great Realm Divine Technique. There are hundreds of ancient scriptures in a divine art. Don't you want to comprehend them? Don't even think about going back. I won't let you go before I return to the peak of the martial sovereign realm. Yuan Gohan's heart trembled. When he thought of the Great Realm Divine Technique, his heart burned with passion. However, your body was taken over. The lifespan you can use is very limited. It's impossible for you to return to the peak of the martial emperor realm. You should be very clear about this. Don't worry, Yunxiao said. I didn't possess this body. It's my own. What? Yuan Gaohan raised his head in shock, his eyes filled with shock and confusion. Yunxiao shook his head. I don't really understand this myself. Let's put it aside for the time being. We'll talk about it after I've dealt with your disciple. His soul form disappeared from the Divine Realm tablet and returned to his body. Yuan Gaohan fell silent, his face still filled with shock, unable to accept the current situation. Yunxiao grabbed the pill in the air and held it in his palm as he looked at Mo Huayuan, who was dumbfounded. Master Mo, which of the two pills is higher in quality? Jin Xian and Xiao Xuanzi were extremely nervous at this moment. They discovered that these two 4-revolution true pills were actually supreme-grade existences, and their appearance and fragrance were almost identical. All three of them, including Wu Chen, found it very difficult to understand how Yunxiao could refine a pill of the same quality as Mo Huayuan. Mo Huayuan, on the other hand, was dumbfounded. Jin Xian and the other two could not tell, but he knew very well that the quality of his 4-revolution true pill was slightly inferior to Yunxiao's. With his strength, he could have refined a stronger quality, but due to his lack of combat experience, he had made mistakes one after another. If Yunxiao had not reminded him in the middle, he would have lost even more miserably. Although he was unwilling to accept this match, he was sincerely convinced. You've won, I've lost, he said bitterly. Mo Huayuan had lost? Jin Xian and the other two were instantly petrified, as if they had lost their consciousness. They couldn't accept this fact. Master, how can you lose? Little Xuanzi said anxiously, the quality of these two pills is about the same. His heart was filled with anxiety. Mo Huayuan's admission of defeat would be a great blow to his reputation. Mo Huayuan shook his head. In terms of quality, this master's is indeed superior. If it wasn't for this master's reminder during the entire process, I'm afraid I would have lost completely. A strange look flashed in his eyes as he raised his hands over his head and bowed to Yunxiao, saying respectfully, Mo Huayuan is willing to accept his loss. After witnessing Master's amazing skills today, he finally realized that he's just a frog at the bottom of a well. He's a laughing stock. His bow made Jin Xian and the other two even more uncomfortable, and they felt extremely uncomfortable and awkward. Yuan Gaohan was silent, instead nodding with a smile of relief. Giving him a blow after reaching the 8th step would be extremely beneficial to his future growth. Moreover, this person's identity was actually Gu Feiyang, so he was worthy of his bow. Yunxiao naturally accepted the bow and said, "It's just that I've been single for so many years, so my hand speed is fast." Jin Xian asked Wu Chen in surprise, "What does being single have to do with fast hand speed?" Wu Chen's face was slightly red. He said awkwardly, This. I'm not very sure." Her forehead was covered in cold sweat. Mo Huayuan lifted his body, his face filled with desolation as he laughed bitterly, but a golden light suddenly flashed in his hand, and the cold pearl dagger on the table appeared in his hand, and he swiped it across his neck. Bang! Yunxiao flicked a finger and knocked the dagger away. A look of surprise flashed across his face as he said with a smile, "You know I'm fast, but you still want to commit suicide in front of me?" "Master." Little Xian was shocked, and hurriedly ran forward to pick up the cold pearl goo that had fallen to the ground and hid it. "Master, what are you doing?" Jin Xian and Wu Chen were also shocked. They looked at each other and didn't know what was going on. Could it be that he couldn't accept the outcome of just one win? Yuan Gaohan was also stunned, and then anger appeared on his face. Mo Huayuan raised his head in shame and anger as he glared at Yunxiao and said, "I lost to you, so I have to follow your orders. However, I can't violate the agreement between me and the Thunderwind Chamber of Commerce. Therefore, the only option is death." "Master Mo, with your status and your master's status in the Holy Region, is there anything in the Thunderwind Chamber of Commerce that can threaten you?" Jin Xian was shocked and cried out. "You would rather die than help me?" Her heart continued to sink. "Don't ask anymore," Mo Huayuan said dejectedly. "Just kill me," he said to Yunxiao. "I can't help the Purple Cloud Trade Union." Yunxiao frowned slightly. After pondering for a moment, he sneered and said, "You can't even beat me, so how can you help the Purple Cloud Trade Union? You don't have to worry about this. I have something else I need you to do." "Other things? You really don't want me to help the Purple Cloud Trade Union?" Mo Huayuan was in disbelief. Suddenly, as if he had thought of something, his expression darkened. "I also don't know anything about my big brother." Yunxiao had a headache. This was one of the things he had planned to ask, but when he saw Mo Huayuan's look, he gave up and said, "If it wasn't for Yuan Gaohan, I really wanted to beat you to death with my hammer. Forget about all this, you just have to help me teleport to Yufeng City." "You know my master?" Mo Huayuan sized Yunxiao up in disbelief. Although he could not believe it, he was also a little suspicious. After all, an alchemist who could cultivate such an outstanding talent could not be a nameless person, so it was very likely that he had met his master. At the thought of this, his attitude toward Yunxiao softened. "To get to Yufeng City, we have to go through the long-distance teleportation formation of the Thunderwind Chamber of Commerce or the Big Dipper sect. It's not a difficult task for me. I promise you. When are you leaving?" At this moment, he could not wait for Yunxiao to leave as soon as possible, so that the bet would be completely invalid. Yunxiao pondered for a moment. When he saw the anxiety on Jin Xian's face, he said, "In a few days. There's no hurry anyway. Other than those two matters, as long as I'm in Southfire City, you must listen to me on everything else." "Of course." Mo Huayuan nodded. "I, Mo Huayuan, am a man of my word." After saying that, he looked at Yunxiao's mocking eyes and blushed. "It's because I've promised the Thunderwind Chamber of Commerce. I can't do anything." Yunxiao did not bother to argue with him, but he could tell that the Purple Cloud Chamber of Commerce was indeed in a very dangerous situation. The Thunderwind Chamber of Commerce had made up their mind to eliminate them, and they had thought of all possible situations and cut off their retreat. Judging from Mo Huayuan's situation, the Purple Cloud Trade Union seemed to be in greater danger than she had imagined. Jin Xian's face darkened.